You are an agency or a media buyer running Facebook ad accounts for a handful of clients, and one morning, 3 of them are restricted at once. Nothing changed in the ads. The creative was fine, the spend was steady, and the accounts were clean. They just got linked, and once Facebook decided they were the same operator, one flag pulled the rest down together. I want to explain why that happens and exactly how the network layer fits into stopping it. City the sentence. Asian plenty. Real phones, real SIM cards from Singtel, M1, and StarHub. So I set up these exact connections every day for people managing multiple accounts, and I have watched the difference a clean carrier IP makes versus a flagged data center range. I also want to be straight with you, because this is operational hygiene for legitimate multi-account work, agencies, and media buyers managing real client accounts, not a trick for evading anything you shouldn't be doing. Let me start with the thing most people get wrong. They think the proxy is the whole answer. It is not. Facebook links ad accounts on a stack of signals, and the IP is only one of them. It also reads cookies and login sessions, the browser fingerprint, the payment methods on file, and your behavior across accounts. Fix one layer and leave the rest shared, and Facebook still ties everything back to one person. So think of it as layers that all have to agree. The IP says where you connect from. The browser fingerprint says what machine you are on. The payment method says who is funding the spend. The behavior says how the operator moves through the platform. A real separate identity needs all of those to look separate at the same time. The proxy handles one of them well, and it handles it properly only if the other layers are not quietly betraying you. I want to spend a moment on the linkage signals specifically, because once you see them, you stop being surprised by cluster bands. The first is the IP. Two accounts logging in from one address is a strong, direct link, and Facebook remembers it. The second is the device and browser fingerprint, your user agent, screen size, fonts, the canvas output, the whole machine signature. The third is the payment instrument. The same card or the same PayPal across several business managers is one of the cleanest ways to tie a set of accounts to one entity. The fourth signal is the people layer, and this one catches agencies off guard. The same personal profile adminning several business managers, or the same recovery email and phone across accounts, links them as firmly as a shared IP. And the fifth is behavior, when you are active and how you build campaigns. Multiple accounts that move the same way at the same times look like one operator, because they are. Here is what the proxy is genuinely good at among all that. It gives each account one stable identity at the network layer. A sticky mobile IP that stays put through a whole session and does not jump countries in the middle of you uploading a campaign or topping up a budget. A real person on a phone keeps roughly the same address while they work. They do not appear in Singapore at 9, in Germany at 10, and back again by lunch. That kind of jump is exactly what trust systems are built to flag. That is why sticky sessions matter here more than rotation, and I want to be clear about the difference because people buy the wrong product constantly. A sticky session holds one exit IP until you decide to change it. A rotating proxy hands you a different IP per request or per session. For scraping, rotation is what you want. You spray requests across many addresses on purpose. For an ad account, you want the exact opposite. One account, one address, held steady, the way a real subscriber on a real carrier line actually looks. Rotation mid-session is not a feature for this work. It is a self-inflicted flag. Picture Facebook watching an account upload a campaign from one IP, refresh from a second IP, and confirm payment from a third, all inside 2 minutes. No real advertiser does that. You have manufactured the exact instability signal you were trying to avoid by buying a rotating pool when you needed a sticky line. Now, why a clean carrier IP beats a flagged data center IP? Facebook reads the network type behind your connection, not just the dot on the map. A data center IP has the wrong SNs, no carrier behind it, and it usually sits in a range that thousands of other people have already burned doing the same thing. A real person in Singapore is on Singtel, M1 or StarHub on a 4G or 5G line. That is the baseline Facebook expects from an actual user. A server rack does not buy ads from its couch. So an IP that looks like a server rack starts every account at a deficit before you have done anything at all. There is a second reason the carrier IP helps, and it is about company. Mobile carriers run carrier-grade net, which means a large number of real subscribers share the same public address. So a carrier IP with some account activity behind it does not look strange, because that is what a normal mobile network looks like to Facebook. A clean dedicated data center IP has none of that cover. It is one address with one user doing account work, and it stands out for exactly that reason. Or we should be honest that residential proxies sit in between. They are real consumer apps, so the network type looks better than a data center range. But a lot of residential pools rotate hard between sessions and carry shared history from whoever used that address before you. For steady ad account work, I would rather have one sticky carrier line that is mine than a residential address that changes under me. But a clean IP on its own is not enough, and this is where most people stall out. You have to pair the proxy with a separate browser profile per account. That is an anti-detect browser like Multilogin, AdsPower, or GoLogin, where each profile carries its own fingerprint, its own user agent, canvas, fonts, time zones, the whole machine signature kept isolated from every other profile. The reason is simple. If you run 10 clean IPs but from one browser on one machine, the fingerprint links all 10 straight back together, and you wasted the IPs entirely. The device layer betrays you even though the network layer was perfect. One clean line with a burned shared fingerprint behind it is not isolation, it just feels like it until the cluster ban arrives. So the unit that actually works is one clean line plus one separate profile locked together as a pair. Account A always lives on its line and its profile. Account B always lives on its own line and its own profile. You do not move an account between profiles, and you do not move a profile between lines. Consistency is what makes each one look like one real person with one phone, which is the entire goal of the exercise. Doesn't please match the obvious details inside that profile. If your IP says Singapore, your browser time zone should say Singapore, and your locale and language should agree with it. An IP in one country with the clock set to another is precisely the kind of small mismatch these systems are designed to notice. You want the whole identity to agree with itself, top to bottom, IP and time zone and language all telling one consistent story. While we are on consistency, line up the payment layer too, because it sits outside the proxy and trips people anyway. Funding several business managers from one card or one PayPal links them, no matter how clean your IPs are. Legitimate agencies handle this with proper client billing, the client's own payment method on the client's own account, which also happens to keep the accounts from looking like one operator funding everything. Now the mistakes that link a whole batch, because these are the expensive ones and I see them constantly. The first is sharing one IP across several accounts. The moment two ad accounts log in from the same address, they are connected, whether that address is a proxy or your home line. One clean line per account is not a suggestion. It is the foundation everything else rests on. The second is logging 5 profiles from one machine on one IP because it was convenient that afternoon. That single lazy session can thread together accounts you had carefully kept apart for months. One shortcut, and the wall between identities is gone, and you usually do not find out until the whole batch goes down at once. The third is letting the proxy drop, so the session quietly falls back to your real home line, even for a minute. Your home IP is the one thread that ties every account you have ever touched back to you, so treat it as radioactive for this work. Set your tools so that if the proxy fails, the connection fails too, rather than leaking out your real address behind your back. For instance, a brand new ad account that immediately spins up high spend and a stack of campaigns looks like exactly what Facebook is hunting for. Warm it slowly. Let the account and its business manager age a little, start spend modest, run a small clean campaign first, and build the history a real advertiser would have. Patience here is far cheaper than rebuilding a banned set of client accounts and explaining the downtime to the client. Let me give you the short do and do not version so it sticks. Do assign one sticky carrier IP per account, held for the whole session. Do give each account its own anti-detect profile with time zone and locale matched to the IP. Do warm slowly and keep each client's billing on the client's own payment method. Do not share an IP. Do not share a fingerprint. Do not rotate mid-session and never fall back to your home line. Now let me be honest about the limit, because I would rather you buy the right thing for the right reason than expect magic. A mobile proxy fixes the network signal and gives each account a believable, separate, local identity. It does not fix a bad payment history. It does not undo a prior policy violation. It does not save creative that breaks the rules, and it does not rescue an account that was already flagged for something real. If the underlying account has genuine problems, a clean IP does not paper over them, and anyone telling you otherwise is selling you a fantasy. The proxy buys you a clean foundation at the network layer. Behavior, payments, and policy build the house on top of it. The proxy is necessary for this work. It is not, on its own, sufficient, and I would rather tell you that now than have you blame the IP for a policy problem later. So here is the whole thing in one breath. One clean carrier IP per account, sticky for the sessions. One anti-detect profile per account, fingerprint and locale matching the IP. Separate payment methods. Never share a line, never share a fingerprint, never fall back to your home IP, and warm everything slowly. That is the boring discipline the agencies who keep their client accounts alive actually run. And it is not glamorous, but it works. If you want the network layer done right, that is what we do. Real SG Mobile EPS, sticky sessions you control, and DNS that routes through the tunnel so you stop leaking your real resolver. It is a real hardware farm on Singtel, M1, and StarHub SIMs, not a data center pretending to be a phone. There is a free trial at Singapore Mobile Proxy. com/clients/trial so you can wire one account onto a clean SG line and watch it hold before you move a whole client roster across. Use code YT30 for 30 off your first month. If this helped, subscribe for 2 new videos every weekday. I keep them practical from someone who actually runs the hardware.